first rule in Gripsport is you tell everyone about Gripsport.
Crushing, pinch grip, thick bar, wrists.
If the best guy in the world can't lift 100 pounds on it, I don't give a shit about it.
All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Grip Show. I got another interview for you guys, and today's special guest is going to be the Jersey Devil himself, Tim Butler from Piscataway, New Jersey. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Hey, Zach, thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. You're a guest I've been wanting to have on, for a minute. I mean, you're one of the first people I saw. I always reference it like, I saw Jed's videos or certain people's videos, but you were lifting in a lot of those competitions, and a lot of your videos on YouTube and things like that were some of the first grip things I ever came across. So, like I said, you do a lot more than grip stuff as well, though, the tearing, all the stuff. So there's a lot of things you have going on that I guess brings more attention to your page than like me. For instance, I pick something up and I kind of put it down. I very rarely look at the camera. It's probably not that entertaining unless you're just really into grip or something. But you have all kinds of like side feats, different things that you do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I guess I just like doing things that look like it's entertaining. Like also like the tearing the cards. I like trying to just do different variations that like other people haven't done. But also like, I guess I've been working on like just getting healthier and getting to shape. So there's that aspect too. I guess some people are interested in that too. But I guess have a passion for just strength and fitness in general, but grip still takes the cake of all of that.
Yeah, because you're one of those guys that you don't fall victim to what a lot of grip guys do. A lot of grip guys will basically just train their grip and nothing else. But I mean, you're a guy that's deadlifting close to 600 pounds probably, or
I did 635 in
okay. Yeah.
2 years. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, you're a guy who's very familiar with all around body training, general strength. You just also happen to possess like freakish grip strength in a lot of areas that I guess is just world-class strength that not a lot of people really are able to duplicate. Think that's accurate? Yeah,
for a while though, like, I did some weight training when I was younger, but for a while I didn't do anything. And when I found grip for the first like 3 or 4 years, I didn't really do any of that other training. But like once I was getting into shape too, I figured I put all this effort into this stuff, so might as well do all I can. Like when you're overall stronger, you're going to get better at grip too. So I might as well do all I can to really reap the benefit of my hard work. And so I just kind of dialed in all the aspects.
No, totally makes sense, man. And when I guess we'll just kind of start back to like the beginning, kind of, where it started with your I guess strength training journey. Like what's the first time you touched weight, or you had an old set of weights on the back porch or something? Like what's the first time you got into even having an interest of training?
I do remember like my dad used to have like those old like plastic weight plates with the cement in them, and he'd have them on the sticks,
almost like cement or sand or something.
Like
inside they have like a plastic casing.
Have sticks as the handles. I remember those when I was little, but my first real memory is when I was 10. I got like a pair of 10-pound dumbbells, and I did like all I knew how to do was curls, and that's all I did for like the first 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. So at what point did you said that's like around age 10. What point did you kind of turn that into maybe you're a teenager, maybe it's after you're a teen? At what point did you kind of start to maybe, I guess, kind of educate yourself more on training or start taking it serious?
Definitely didn't educate myself until way later, but I started taking it a little more seriously, maybe around like 14 or 15, probably 15. And then by 16, I was really serious about it. Like, I was doing like the football workouts in the summer.
Okay.
Then I worked out with these older guys. I was like 16. They're like 24, 25. I call them the juiced up Guidos.
Okay.
they just they saw me as like some big kid, that because I was always like a big goof, but they kind of took me under their wing. They're like, all right, try this, and but I never really knew what I was doing. And then years later I found out like like form and like what was all like really stupid stuff, and like I was making so many mistakes, but
So when they had you kind of trying stuff out during that time, was there like, did they kind of just notice like, man, you're strong for the first time, or were you kind of like not strong at all? And, did you have like a pretty average start, or was it kind of like, hey man, you picked up some things. I don't know, you picked up some pretty impressive weights or something out the gate, and they're kind of like, man, maybe you got potential. I mean, what was that first impression?
they're really impressed. Like, I could for certain things, like I guess because I did curls for so many years before, I could out curl some one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're impressed. I think maybe that's why, like, I don't know, when you're young, you think you're kind of a nuisance, but I think they enjoyed having me around because they wanted me to like get stronger with them.
Yeah. So, and that was mostly full body type training.
Uh,
Had you found out about the grip stuff yet, or that's coming a little bit after?
No, that wasn't for like another 6 years, I think.
Okay. So there's a while. Now,
Yeah.
what was your training like, or what was that period of time like in between hanging out with the juiced up Guidos? Is that what you call them?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So with that crew, between that crew and then kind of getting you to where you're at in grip, kind of just what took place in that middle chapter there.
All right. So I guess after it happened, like after high school, I guess I was like 19. I had gotten to pretty decent shape, and but then I kept injuring my ankle and re-injuring it, and I got some kind of a diverticulum was like I had diverticulum removed, so I had like intestinal surgery, and just those things kind of discouraged me, and I kind of fell off, and I didn't do anything for a while. I gained a lot of weight, like almost 100 pounds. But then like I was still always fascinated by strength, and me and my dad would like to like mess around, just arm wrestle. We didn't know how to arm wrestle, but he had these really like thick fingers and hands and wrists, and I have pretty skinny ones, especially for like my size. And I was like, man, how can I thicken mine? I don't even know. There was no purpose to it, honestly. I don't even know why I decided to Google it. But then I found the Captains of Crush hand grippers, and I saw them, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Then it wasn't until maybe a couple years later that I came back to them and finally ordered them and was checking out the grip board, and then just found everything else and just fell in love with the community, fell in love with the sport, and it just kept going from there.
That seems to be a lot of people's intro is the Captains of Crush. That's been kind of a common theme when I talk to people. That's a lot of people's gateway into the grip world, I guess. When you said you gained about 100 pounds, during that time when you kind of fell off for some health reasons, or just kind of that lack of motivation, like I said, there's probably a combination of a lot of stuff going on there.
Yeah.
What was your heaviest you got to, like at your lowest point, you would say, not lowest body weight, but like you're mentally and physically, you feel like you're at your lowest?
Well, it's weird. Like my actual heaviest when I was 295, that was like winter 2015, but I'd say my lowest point was like summer of 2019. Then when I was just really feeling like crap. I think just all the years of living horribly were catching up with me. And I just 26, so like things were slowing down, and I was like, man, I just can't not live like this anymore.
All right, gotcha. So what kind of things did you put in place to go from essentially being 300 pounds to basically the Tim Butler we see today?
A big part of it was just honestly just like tracking what I was eating and using an app, because like we eat so many things or drink so many things that have calories in that we don't even think about. And like even if we're like, oh, I didn't eat too much today, maybe you didn't think about that juice or your soda, or I don't know, even if you had some salad dressing on your salad and a little too much, like those things just all add up. So I just at first I wasn't eating that healthy, but I was just kind of tracking. I was still having ramen noodles almost every day, but just doing that. And I started just walking around my neighborhood. It would be like slow walking, maybe like 2 miles, 3 if I was lucky. And over time, as your body adapts and you're losing weight, and I would increase my walking speed and the distance and continue with the dieting. But I would start, the same concept where I was doing all the work for the grip. I was like, oh, I might as well get overall healthy and like strong. I was like, oh, I might as well like reap all the benefits and eat non-crap while I'm at it. I still eat some crap. It's like maybe like 80-20.
Yeah.
but you have to stay sane.
Yeah, no, it can definitely get a little boring. I'm kind of, I was, I'm going up a weight class, but it's been harder and harder for me to continuously cut down and get down below like 200 pounds, or even right now, if I wanted to get down to 205, it's becoming a little more effort. And yeah, I'm not eating the cleanest right now, and I don't necessarily care too much, but I'm also not like going crazy, or you're not gonna see me in a couple months and I'm like 250 and out of shape or just falling apart or something weird. But yeah, I kind of know what you mean. You give yourself a little bit of slack, but at the same time, there's the discipline that keeps you able to perform, feeling good, and you don't like fall off the wagon completely.
Exactly. And I am someone that's always struggled with my weight. Like I I lack self-control sometimes. So if I'm not just aware all the time and thinking about, not everyone has to do this, but I do personally, then like I can very easily just like down like 6,000 calories in a day.
Yeah,
And I could do it next day too if I'm but so I don't
you just
want
go on a binge.
I don't, and I make sure that I don't do that. I'm getting better at finding a happy medium though, like as I'm getting more experience with it, but I still have to be careful because that kid inside me is still there.
Yeah, it's kind of a slippery slope, and you can you can definitely kind of fall. Yeah, you start going, and one day turns to two. Next thing you know, it's all week and whatever. But no, I'm glad you're like staying on track with everything. And like I said, we see you doing the stuff you're doing today. We see the physique and the way you lift and everything. Or I assume most people tuning in would kind of already be familiar with you to some extent. If they're not, then well, they're going to find out and they're going to see your stuff. But most people would look at a lot of the feats you do, a lot of the lifts you do, even if it's your basic body strength and training. And like I said, the leanness when you do your cuts and you're lean and you're down around 200 pounds or even sub 200, they might find it hard to believe that. And I'm taking this from a conversation that we've had previously. But I believe you said at one point, like walking basically saved your life.
In a way, yeah.
Is that kind of, fairly accurate?
I mean, I'd say in a way grip, because that led to me walking, which
Okay.
led to me, like, yeah, because I I guess I started losing the weight in September 2019, and then August of 2020 and I got like a really bad near fatal double lung infection. Like the doctors were even saying, like I was lucky to be alive. They didn't know if I
Okay.
was going to be able to walk without supplemental oxygen ever again, stuff like that. So like if I hadn't made those changes, I was still like very overweight. And I also was smoking cigarettes too. I quit that during that whole transformation too. I don't think I would have been alive. I would be alive right now.
Really? Okay. So yeah, like my whole point with that was just basically saying that, for somebody that maybe is at a low point, bouncing back from an injury, somebody that thinks, man, I could never be that guy, I could never reach that level, or even if it's just them versus them, they might not see themselves as being able to really improve. But you're essentially saying just the simplest things of like, okay, I kind of got into these grippers, I got into grip, that made me want to be a little healthier. Walking was a contributing factor. You helped your nutrition. I mean, there's a lot of pieces that go into it, but
Walking is a big
um,
thing, because like almost, unless you have like some kind of injury, like almost anyone can do it. Like you don't have to go crazy with it, and you could improve on it a little bit every day. You go even if it's like 50 more steps or whatever like that. Like it's something that's very easy to start and progress with, and it's just a great exercise.
yeah, I just thought that was worth mentioning, because we see like you curling fat man blobs by the face lifting these crazy blobs. You said like you're deadlifting excess 600 pounds. It's hard for people to probably imagine you being overweight at a point where your health is in like a real dangerous situation, and you basically are using something as simple as just going for a walk today, and that kind of bringing you back to basically being like the superhuman you are now, or all the stuff that people would consider being superhuman. But a lot of it kind of goes back to that just foundational kind of like one foot in front of the other. I know it sounds cliche, but
it's so true.
yeah, it's true. So that, and you're basically like living proof of that. So I think that's something good for listeners to pick up on. I've had injuries. there's really never a good time to be injured or sick or whatever the case is. And it never seems to, like I said, it's not going to hit you at a good time. Oh, it's real convenient for me to break my leg or whatever, whatever the injury is. So injuries suck, but yeah, I think that kind of message, whether it be someone that's maybe overweight, struggling with motivation, maybe struggling with injury, there's a broad spectrum that kind of covers, but basically something as simple and easily trackable as walking could almost get you moving in the right direction. And that's the biggest example, or that's one of the big things I wanted to key in on off that story of yours is that, it's like, just get up and do something.
Exactly. Just a little bit more than you did the day before. And it doesn't have to be much. Like, don't overthink it. Don't like just look at your goal and be like, I have to go from here to here right away. Just baby steps.
Yeah. So aside from that, so you kind of use the walking, the grip, the wanting just overall better physique, better strength, better health coming from that kind of, like, I guess you could say, like, near-death experience. Would that be?
Yeah.
Technically,
I had a little bit of a mental breakdown. I was in the ICU.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it's scary stuff. When you don't know the outcome, it's not like you can predict the future. So, I mean, a lot of things can go one way or the other, and you don't really know until you're in those moments. And, so glad you made it through all that. And then when you kind of pursue your fitness journey after that, what's that look like? Okay. You start dropping the weight, you kind of get back. Because after that, you've never really fallen off again, correct? You've pretty much kind of stayed the course.
Yeah. Stayed the course, just with some bumps along the way, like, like out of my control bumps.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I always like stuck to my regimen, like, and I didn't give up as much as I really thought I was gonna at one point in 2021. But
is there anything specific that was like, you don't have to go into anything personal if you don't want to, but is there anything during that time that maybe like someone could relate to? Is there a specific thing that maybe triggered that, or?
Well, no, I mean, it was just the setback after setback, I guess. So I guess just no matter how many times you get knocked down, as cliche that is, just get back up and keep going, because I had that hospital thing, and then a few months later I was moving out a couch and I got a hernia. I had to get a surgery on that. And then literally the week that I was like recovered enough from that, I played basketball and I totally tore my ACL and my medial meniscus. So it was just like, yeah, it was just a lot, but like
when it rains, it pours kind of thing.
But I just stuck to my plan and did, like, even if you get an injury, I guess, as long as it's not like, like something where you can't move at all, like, still do what you can. Like, I know it's not as good as what you really want to do, but like, just kind of keeping yourself busy and doing something. Maybe you can make a PR in some kind of stupid lift with your offhand, or who knows, like, try to find something to kind of at least keep you a little bit into it, even if like the passion is starting to go away a bit. The injury and your downtime is temporary, and if you just try and keep that flame going, it'll work out for you.
Okay, so as you're basically like back on track, so to speak, from that, when did you do your first grip competition? Was it like before that, after that? When exactly did you start competing? Like, so you did this like event kind of occur in the middle of you doing competitions and other stuff, or had you not competed yet?
Yeah, no, I'd competed. I'd actually, before the lung thing, I just won the 93 kilogram class at nationals in 2020.
Okay. Yeah.
And then 3 weeks later, that all happened. My first competition was also a Jed in February of 2017. So
so you've been doing this about 6 years now, competitively?
Yeah, it's crazy to say that. It still feels like I've only been in it for a couple of years, but I guess I'm kind of a bit of a veteran at this point. Yeah,
no, I mean, like I said, as somebody newer coming into it and kind of already seeing your lift, your names and other stuff ahead of time. You're younger, because you're what, 30 years old?
Yeah.
So you're actually a little younger than I am, but just your time in the sport and the things that you've already done, it kind of in my mind, almost, yeah, places you in my head, almost like leaning towards that veteran category. Like if some new guy shows up to a competition at this point, they're not looking at Tim Butler and being like, oh yeah, that's a new guy, or yeah, he's fairly new. It's like,
Yeah.
you've kind of been on the scene for a minute now. So I don't think that anybody views you as the new guy. So you've competed, you had the setbacks, you've bounced back to competing. What would you say competition wise has probably been your favorite moment you've had? And I know it's hard because maybe we can separate it, because you're much like me in the fact that we like competition, but we also like doing a lot of feats, and there's no competition for that. Like it's kind of a freestyle. There's no real way, you know, other than documenting it and knowing what you did, personal goals, basically personal endeavors.
Yeah.
But so if we just limit it to competition moment, not like post comp, no, like after feats, if I just say during competition, a competition lift, a certain moment, a certain win, what in your grip career stands out the most to you, or what are you kind of the most happy with?
I guess it's a bit of a tie between two.
Okay.
First one, I guess, is winning the nationals in my weight class, because like I was up against some pretty tough competition, and I don't always I don't usually have the best competition performance, and that one went pretty well. So like I guess that overall performance and being able to take the weight class was a good moment. And then the other one was the little Bighorn lift at King Kong last year, because it got me a trophy, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, you got one of the gorilla trophies,
Yeah,
right?
I didn't even know I was gonna get that one, but
And then I think I believe they're not making them anymore. They're not doing them anymore due to costs and stuff like that. So I think last year might have been the last time to get one. Or maybe they're doing it for like the overall winners, but they're making less of them. I forget. Please, nobody freak out if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, I think just the amount of like the sculptures that were getting broken or lost in the mail, or the price that it costs to produce them. I think I remember Eric basically saying that that's why they were going away from them and they were switching over to metals. So if they are still doing the gorillas for next year, okay, maybe I'm wrong on how many they're doing or what it's for, but I'm pretty sure that last year was the last chance to get one. So good time to pull that lift off. If you want a gorilla trophy. So what was that lift, like 259 or what?
that's exactly what it was.
It was okay.
Yeah.
I'm going off memory, but like I said, I got kind of a weird memory sometimes, so I'm good at that kind of stuff. So 259, and that was not only a competition PR for you, that was the biggest lift that year in King Kong in general. Correct? Yeah, because that's a for anybody that is not familiar, King Kong is one of the biggest like running grip competitions that's multi-venue for GSI, but they're all single-handed events. So you won't be finding Axel or Saxon, the two-handed events like that. So it's always a one-handed type deal. So for Tim to lift 259 pounds, I think it's the second most ever lifted on it.
Yeah,
265 in competition.
265 is number one.
Okay. So you're second all time in that lift, and you just did that last year. So that's something that I'm sure you've probably been gunning for. I mean, nobody necessarily likes to be number two or whatever.
I was hoping to take the record, but it didn't work out that time.
But with that implement being contested, and we're talking about the Iron Mine Little Bighorn here, with that implement being contested as much as it is, or kind of standing the test of time, it's been around for a while, and it doesn't seem to be phased out or replaced by anything. So I think we're going to see it continue to be used. So do you feel pretty good about your chances of taking that record in the future? Is that a goal of yours?
I mean, it would be, but I guess there would have to be a competition that I'm going to that would have it, because I know this year for King Kong, that's the jug instead. That I hope I can get the record on, but
yeah,
I know Heavy Hands is having a Little Bighorn, right?
Yeah,
but I don't think I'm going to be able to make
the travel. That's all good. Yeah.
Hey, I might surprise you last minute. I don't want to 100% say no.
if you do pop up at Heavy Hands, man, 93 is the class to be at, because there's like 8 or 9 signups in that class alone.
Oh man.
And like Eric and some, I think Zach Ebel from Canada are coming down. They're pretty strong.
Yeah, Eric's a beast.
John Fulber from Maryland, who did like the Maryland Strongest Hand, and he like had a big Saxon lift at the Arnold, and he's all around strong guy. So he's at 93. So
Yeah,
if you were to like,
okay.
if you were to like dive in and join that class, it would be pretty wild. So yeah, no pressure on you at all. But there is a little Bighorn there, and
Yeah, it is calling my name a little bit,
so we'll see what happens. But do you have any other? I know you said you want to set maybe the jug record. Both of those being vertical lifts. I had a talk with Luke Raymond not too long ago, and he's also another guy that's very good at vertical lifts, like yourself. And I kind of asked him. I said, some people just have a knack for things, like they put their hands on it and it just feels right. When you first started pulling Little Bighorn and the jug or doing these vertical lifts, did it feel like a natural wrist position for you? Or is that something that you really had to like adjust yourself to that lift?
Yeah, I had to adjust myself a lot.
Okay.
Like I'm trying to think of the time frames. I think like I got up when I first did it, I think I got like 170 pounds, 160 pounds or something like that.
Okay.
And then after like a year, I got to around 200, but I was stuck there for another few years.
I think that's where I'm at right now. I think when you were stuck at 200, that's about what I've been doing. I climbed, like you just said, I probably went from like, I don't know, pulling 3 plates on it, like 145, 150-ish the first time ever on like a slick one, to I can hit that 200 or low twos. But for me to really crack 220 plus or something like that hasn't happened yet. And it's been kind of a frustrating lift for me. So I think I'm stuck in that lull you're talking about right now. So hopefully I can get a breakthrough like you did at some point or have something click. But for now, I'm hovering around that 200 mark and lucky to get there someday. So
yeah, it's a weird one. Like I feel like there's like I create like so much specific tension. I have like specific angles and like I can't even replicate it every time. Like when I know when it's good, but like it's hard for me to like get that perfect ideal place. But when it is good, it's really good. So it's like the smallest like millimeter of a difference in any of your fingers or whatever could make a difference. So it's just a really weird lift that I think the more you kind of like really try and analyze, well, sometimes we'll overthink it and then it'll make it do worse, but I guess you have to find that happy medium.
Yeah, I have certain lifts like that. Like sometimes I'll almost set my hand perfect. Everything is almost like a ritual when I do it. And there's like this big setup. And then other times I'm like, I'm just walking up and pulling this thing, because if I fuck around too long and take 5 seconds to set my hand, I'm basically gonna ruin the lift. So there are certain things that I kind of I guess I kind of baby the position a little bit and I kind of make sure that everything's perfect. And then there's other things where I'm like, I just got to go and I just have to lift this thing. So that one's probably, like you said, finding that happy medium for it. But Luke shared kind of the same thing. Just, it wasn't natural to him. It just took a lot of dialing in and just figuring your body out, figuring out how to maximize the position, and really just spending time with it, which is probably what I've been lacking, because I kind of hit that same 200 wall. You get mad and then I'm like, throw this thing away. I'll go do some other stuff. And then I'll get back to 200. Yeah. And there's probably a lot of stuff I need to be paying attention to with my hand, my setup, position, stance. And it's probably just going to take me a little more time before I'm not saying I'm going to lift what you lift. I just mean to like,
and just 240 or something like.
I would love to get to like 220 or be in the 220s at some point. That would be kind of like a benchmark for me. If I get 230, 240s and go higher, cool. But I would be happy just to consistently pull 220s on that. And right now, I think my PR is like 212. In competition, it's like 200 flat. But yeah, I've very seldom pulled over 200 consistently. It'll be a good day, I'll pull 200. It'll be a bad day, I'm in like the 190s and I'm want to throw the thing through the wall.
It seems to be like the barrier for a lot of people, is that 200 barrier on there.
Yeah. So with with that attention to detail, is there any other, I know we mentioned that lift didn't necessarily come natural and you had to really like adjust yourself to that implement and hone in a certain technique for it that still is even hit or miss sometimes. Is there any lifts that you just took to naturally when you started doing grip? They just felt right, or you just felt effortless, like, man, you just touched it and it was good to go?
I mean, I guess like I mean, I wouldn't say like it felt super easy, but like definitely felt better than a lot of, like felt less awkward than a lot of other ones. Like I guess because it's pretty straightforward, thick bar felt pretty good. Like the 2.5-inch crusher was my first rolling handle. And then blobs, like I love blobs from the very beginning.
That was kind of like my first thing, was like, I've obviously, you see competitions, but like the first feat I really kind of like keyed in on was like, I want to lift the Fat Man Blob. So I was just obsessed trying to track down a Fat Man Blob. I didn't know anything about grip training hardly, but that was like the first thing. It was like Fat Man Blob, inch dumbbell. Those are the two things I'm going after. And I got the Blob first. And so I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to say it felt natural, but I don't know. I just liked it so much that I didn't care how many times I didn't lift it. I would just come back with like the same energy each session, just wanting to do it. So just, I'm going to keep going on that subject line with you kind of liking the blobs or the inch bells. And a lot of us in the grip world like that. Those are kind of two staples that
like my favorite, and I think yours too.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah. I could lift those every day. Now I don't even want to hardly say this, but my blobs have taken a big hit recently. So I don't know, maybe it's just some fatigue, maybe some other stuff I got to work out in my training. But for somebody that's lifted the blobs I have, or what people are expecting to see me lift, my blobs have fallen off. So I've been like in a rut real bad recently. So I'm almost like, I don't even want to tell people what I'm stuck at or what I'm lifting currently, because they're like, hey man, you're working on Blobzilla. And I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm working on Blobzilla. And it's like, my Fat Man won't even move off the ground that day. And I'm like, oh man, like this is bad. But
I've had phases like that, so I feel like it's kind of just normal, but it's frustrating. And then I feel kind of embarrassing because, like you said, like people are expecting like you to do this, and like just your condition at the moment is like, I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's weird because it's such a crazy thing. I mean, grip is so weird like that, or so unique to our kind of world, because very rarely, I mean, I'm excluding injuries and other stuff. I'm talking about, you know, maybe there's a little fatigue, blah, blah, blah. But like a guy's not going to be like 1,000-pound squatter and then, oh, he's fatigued and now he can't even stand up with 500 pounds. It's like, no, it's not going to drop off like that. We're like, with some of these grip challenges, you could have a blob that you've cleaned before, and then like a couple of days later, I can't even get it off the ground.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
So it's like, I can't even get air under the thing. And it's like, dude, I've cleaned this thing. So grip can be that, like, I don't know, that up and down sometimes. And right now, I guess for blobs, man, I'm on the downswing. But what you've been doing, you've basically been dominating Blobzilla, which I would say there's probably less than 20 people that have ever lifted it. I'm not saying there's not more people that could lift it.
It's just who have.
They're out there. I'm just saying who has lifted it. We're probably talking less than 20 people at this point. And that's almost become a regular lift for you right now, correct?
Yeah, as long as I'm not feeling like super fatigued, I can lift. But you know, it's not always right away. Sometimes it'll take a few warm-ups because you know, like we don't have, me and you don't have gigantic hands, so like it's a big stretch for us. So I feel like sometimes I almost have to like stretch my hand a bit and get some warm-ups and like kind of get some flexibility going, and then I'll find my sweet spot, and then it'll come up.
And you also lifted. Have you lifted your Napalm Blob, or you haven't? You don't feel fully confident with that lockout, or? I think
the newest like one that I got, I'm content with.
Okay.
I put up on my YouTube. I guess maybe I didn't put up on the other one, but I want a better one. I guess definitely I want a better one where I don't. You always
kind of want to put the stamp on it, or put that like exclamation point on the feet, like that way there's no doubt. But yeah. I mean, for anybody that's listening in, I mean, lifting Blobzilla, I mean, if you don't already get it, that less than 20 people have ever lifted it. Going up and beyond that, especially like Tim said, we like lifting blobs, but me and Tim don't necessarily have the biggest hands. I think you can do some things with your thumb where you like do the facelifts or something.
Flexibility.
Yeah, I think you beat me on flexibility because I can't facelift anything. But for anyone listening in, the blobs that Tim is talking about lifting are ridiculous for any human to lift. But when they have 8-inch hands or less than 8-inch hands, I mean, how many guys are touching Blobzilla or higher blobs than that with less than 8-inch hands? I mean, we're talking a handful of guys. I mean, the list gets way shorter. I mean, let's say it's roughly a little bit under 20 people that have lifted Blobzilla. If you were to take hand measurements, who's under 8, it's like gonna end up being
5 people,
maybe. Yeah, it's gonna kill that list a lot. So I just want people to understand the level of blob lifting you're doing and not allowing your hand size to be an excuse for that either. You're lifting some of the, I mean, heaviest blobs there are with, I mean, above average hands, but not like
not huge.
Gigantic. Yeah.
I think that's important to say because people, limit themselves before even trying something. And I didn't initially, I didn't think I was ever going to lift Blobzilla. I didn't even have it as a list on my feet on my list. But then I saw that guy, he's not in the scene anymore, but Daniel Reynard. He just like a normal kind of guy with our sized hands. He lifted it, and then Luke Raymond lifted it. And like that kind of like maybe it is possible for me. And like I thought it was gonna be like a lifelong goal. And I just kept working at it, and I hit it way sooner than I expected. And after even when I was lifting it, I think I told some people, yeah, no, I'm never gonna go bigger than that. And now I might be getting the Blob Father pretty soon, a 140. And like I didn't think I'd even be getting the Blobzilla. So don't if you don't have huge hands, don't just write it off right away,
Yeah. And there was one point I wanted to hit on there too. That it might be an issue of mine that you just kind of brought up, is you talked about how like it might take you a minute to kind of find your sweet spot and you're stretching your hands and stuff like that. I almost wonder if and this is just me kind of theorizing on the spot, doing a little conspiracy here. If I almost wonder if me putting so much emphasis on lifting inch bells and kind of having my hand tighten and in a smaller space, I almost feel like I haven't been hitting that wider range as often with blobs. And I feel like my hands have almost kind of tightened up. So, and I feel like my blobs have taken a hit, and that might be it. Like you just kind of brought up stretching, and it kind of just a light bulb went off. It's like maybe my hands are, I don't know, just wound up a little too tight, or maybe I'm trying to like too much emphasis on one area of training, and I'm not getting that hands on those widths. I'm not getting that stretch that you're kind of talking about.
Yeah, I
don't know what you think that's true, or
I mean I don't know for sure, but I would try stretching out your hands, man, and just kind of see, because when I can't go right to Blobzilla, like I could just feel like it just doesn't feel right, doesn't feel as strong, doesn't feel in good position. So that the theory could be right. That's never something that I thought about, but
yeah, I've only been thinking about it because I've had such bad blob sessions, and I'm just like, why do these blobs just feel bigger? Why do my hands feel tighter? Why do I feel weaker? I'm like not getting it. But then like I've also had like better bell sessions.
Yeah, you looked at the 90 not too long ago.
Yeah, so I've picked up some heavier inch bells, and I kind of feel like, man, maybe I've just put a little more of my percentage of training over here, and I've kind of slacked on the blobs, whereas I had that passion for climbing the ladder. Once I kind of hit a plateau, maybe I've stepped away from them, and maybe my hands have just kind of adapted to that, where hey, you haven't been hitting blobs 2 or 3 times a week and getting your hand opened up, and now you're kind of I don't know, I'm back. I don't want to say I'm like starting over, but I need to go to like blob rehab. But
I have those kinds of phases too. Like sometimes, like you said, you plateau at one, and then you put some more interest towards others, and then you get some movement there, so you get more into that, and kind of put the others on the back burner, and then you come back to it, and then I'm sure your blobs will come back soon. I would try to get stretch, or at least give the blobs a little more love.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, but I'll keep you updated on that as it happens. But yeah, right now, I think at one point we were talking about not necessarily racing to Blobzilla, but we kind of had like that was next on our list because we had lifted a 125 legacy, and then you're just like Blobzilla every day, lifting the 135, and I'm just kind of sitting there like, man, my fat man's not leaving the ground. Like I gotta look the other way. I don't even want to see what Tim's doing. But no, and like not like in a place of like being jealous or anything. Like
I know.
I'm super happy for you lifting it and stuff. It's just like feeling bad about my own lifts where I'm like, man, I'll go take it out on these bells or something else because blobs aren't in it right now. And I'm like a blob person, so yeah, yeah, with the poster. That's what Joe drew up for me. Joe Hodgson from Australia.
Yeah, I love that thing.
That's what he drew. So it's like Blob Zombie is like Rob Zombie, but with blob. And yeah, the hands coming out of the ground, but it has a blob in it. So
great. I love it. I love that it's in the background of your show. That's perfect.
Yeah. So I'm very happy that Joe drew that for me, and it turned out as well as it did. So yeah. So if you can't tell, definitely like lifting the blobs and stuff like that. It's just right now they've been kicking my ass. So I got to reprogram and figure something out. Speaking of that lane, because like we kind of talked about your competition moments, what's probably your favorite feat? And it doesn't necessarily have to be the biggest feat you've done. Maybe it was like the first time you did something and that sticks with you and it means more. Like the first time I lifted a fat man is probably more meaningful to me than when I lifted a 125 legacy. It's just, so maybe a first time lift, it's your own opinion or your own interpretation of what feat means the most to you. And there can be different reasons for it, but what kind of list do you have there, or what can you narrow that down to?
Yeah, definitely. One comes to mind right away. Just lifting just the next gen by the face. Honestly, that took me like 4 or 5 years. Like I tore my thumb like at least a dozen times really bad. One time I was doing negatives with it, and like my father was on speakerphone in the other room, so I didn't want to be loud with it. So I was like, not letting it make a loud noise. And for one of them, I didn't get my finger from underneath when it came down. I fractured my fingertip. So just like all that battling. When I finally got it, it just I was really happy with that, I guess.
Okay, so next gen by the face.
Yeah, and then I had no idea I'd be able to take it so many steps further after that, but just lifting it was like a huge thing for me at the time.
Yeah, and I don't want to say like, I hate putting a label on something or like a blanket statement saying like this guy's the greatest ever or this guy's the best, because it's like there's always other people milling around out there that can do stuff, or that when you say solo like this person's the best, it's a big statement, but you have to be right up there with some of the best blob lifters like by the face, like you're like for your hand size especially. Now I get it if somebody has a larger hand size, and that's a very hand size dependent lift.
It is, yeah. So I guess definitely like that's the one thing I guess sucks that I used that one. I wasn't really thinking is that like not everyone will be able to lift a blob that size by the face, but I guess just because I trained so hard for it, that's why I mentioned it. But yeah, like they are very hand size dependent. I think it's maybe from what I've seen, like Brian Shaw and Thomas Larson are the two people that are better at lifting things by the face. Thomas Larson lifted Blobzilla by the face, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
and then I think he curled it.
He curled Blobzilla?
I thought he picked it up by the face and curled it. I
don't remember seeing that.
Once again, I'm going off memory, and I could be a little off, but I thought that he I know he definitely facelifted it, like you mentioned. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to double check it. So because I don't know if Thomas Larson checks the show out and here's this, shoot us the link of you either doing it or not doing it. But
that dude's a monster though.
But no, yeah, and definitely super strong guy, and that strength with the hand size for those style of lifts. It's tough to match. I mean, you have to have hands that size to even begin to have that strength, but yeah, it's a tough one for me because we have similar sized hands, and I can basically just give like a high five to a next gen, and I can't even really get any purchase on the outside corners. So I'm like, yeah, I'll clean it. I'll do all this other stuff with it, but grabbing it by the face is almost just like off the books for me.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I stretch in a way where it's like I'd say like 90% of the power is just these three, and like my pinky and pointer finger are hardly really doing anything. Maybe I'll get a little bit with my pointer, but it's mostly just I get into a position where I'm just able to like I don't know. It's the flexibility, man. I got weird hands.
It's effective for that.
Yeah, for that, but you know, we're not going to see any blob by the face competitions anytime soon.
Well, and that's why I say there's like the competition route, and then there's also just your own like personal endeavor and challenges, like the Feats route. And you're somebody that's performed well at both. And usually if you're good at Feats, you're probably going to do well at competition stuff. It doesn't, doesn't always mean it's going to go well, but a lot of
hold your own at least.
Yeah, a lot of times if you're doing a feat, it's like it can't really be manipulated too much, in my opinion. Like if you lift the inch dumbbell, you're probably going to do okay on a rolling handle.
Yeah.
If you can lift heavier blobs, a pinch block's probably going to be, you're going to be okay. But I think that sometimes when you reverse that, it's not necessarily the case. Like some people will be better at rolling handles and maybe they miss a component that would help them lift the inch dumbbell, or maybe some guys are really good on a pinch block, but when you stretch their hand out to a blob, they don't get that kind of carryover going out. Like the wider for pinching, I guess, like the wider grip can kind of translate to your narrow, but I don't think narrow ever really translates and carries over to wider.
It's always been hard for me to say personally because my wide has always been so much better than my narrow. Like that's probably the thing that I struggled with the most was like anything I guess under like 2.5 inches. Like it took a lot of training to like get that. Like there's a point where my 3-inch was stronger than my 2-inch with some certain lifts.
Yeah.
But I think that again goes just to my hand structure, like where like I don't know, narrower just feels like feel a less strong position when it's more narrow, and a stronger one with a more open hand.
Now it makes sense, man. And I guess that's what's good about grip though, is we just have so many different things we can dive off on, or that's what makes competition so fun, or feats so much fun, is that there's just so much variety in it. Do you have any upcoming feats aside from like maybe landing a cleaner lift on your Napalm Blob, the 135 legacy? Do you have any other feats on your radar that you can talk about?
I have a few. Like I'm like close to them. I just haven't quite gotten them. They're not like insane ones. Like I guess that, or not ones that are popular, but I guess cleaning Blobzilla. I didn't think I wanted to clean it, but now I'm starting to get like some good momentum with it. So I think because I hurt this wrist, I don't want to like hurt it bad. But if you can get it like high enough momentum, you're not really risking that. Because sometimes I would do like a weird like jerk clean, and that's like a lot on the wrist, but I can't really do that anymore. A transfer with the next gen by the face. Transfer with the iron grip monster, the half 125 iron grip blob. What else? I guess hopefully sometime in the next couple of weeks, I want to get like a body weight inch dumbbell lift. So either like a little weight added to my 190, or maybe the 174 with like 20 pounds added or something like that.
Yeah, and that's a super tough lift. I mean, I'm sure everybody can. I don't need to tell anybody how hard that is. They should probably already kind of know that. But yeah, to lift a body weight inch dumbbell lift is pretty rare.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about a guy that would have to be 172 pounds or less lifting the actual inch dumbbell, or you're talking about a guy like yourself who's going to either add that 20 or 30 pounds on the inch dumbbell or to a heavier inch style dumbbell that they have. I mean, that's just super tough. I mean, super elite goals. But like I said, seeing everything you've already done and you just keep climbing the list, not surprising. I just was curious because, like I said, I want to know what you kind of got in the works, because
We'll see what
I've seen you seem to be at a strong point. I mean, you're pulling like double inch lifts. You're like balancing stuff on double inch lifts. You're pulling heavier bells than the inch. You're lifting Blobzilla, all this at the same time. And I'm like, he's kind of in a hot streak, or it seems like you're really rolling right now. Do you feel that way?
It's weird. I in some ways I do, and in other ways I feel like my body's on the brink of falling apart. Like I don't even know how. I have like a damaged pulley in here, and like I don't know, I have like some aches in different fingers. But like I guess that's kind of normal with grip. You're always having little things you're working around.
Yeah.
But I am feeling like pretty strong. I was hitting a point where I was feeling kind of weak, but then I started increasing my caloric intake, and it's been a few weeks of that now. Now I'm feeling pretty good. I did forget, I do want to clean the inch also, and it would be cool if I could do that under 200 pounds, because
that knock Ben Helms down.
Yeah, no, I love you, Ben.
but no, I mean, yeah, somebody that, I mean, first off, even if you weighed like 205, it would be insane because you'd still be the lightest at that point if you pulled that feat off. But yeah, cleaning the inch dumbbell is something that I would love to see you pull off, and I would love to see it at anything close to 200. But yeah,
I'd be happy at any body weight, honestly, but if I could do it under 200, that'd be even better. But
yeah, that's like the cherry on top.
Yeah, even if I was like 215, I'd still be happy. Like,
yeah, then Ben would probably get psychotic and like start cutting weight, and like do like a specific
sabotage in the competition. No.
Yeah. So, if that's kind of like your main things you're pursuing on the feet side of things.
Yeah,
I know you mentioned the jug coming up at King Kong and that being a good lift for you because it's a vertical bar. What's your future competition run look like? Like here these next few months or to end the rest of this year? What kind of competitions do you have your eyes set on?
I other than King Kong, I'm not sure. I think there's going to be another grip miss this year, or maybe that's in January now. But I haven't really, like, I know there's a bunch of ones coming up next month, but I'm gonna be away and I have a wedding, so all the fun competitions are going on, I'm not available, which kind of sucks. But yeah, right now the only one I know for sure is King Kong.
Okay, and that's how do you feel about the events overall for you in that? If
I
you run down the event list.
Yeah, what do we? I know we have the Iron Mine Blockbuster. That one's go. I'm doing pretty good with that. My strongest I've been on that one. I hadn't touched it for a long time because it was never being contested. But now that I came back to, I got like I think like 15 pounds more than I did a number of years back. So that's pretty good. What's the other events? We have the jug. I'm feeling really good about that one. It's like little Bighorn, except it's not tapered, so I feel like I can find my sweet spot a lot more easily, and I can be more consistent. Finish ball, I'm terrified of, because every time I try to pull a max on that, I like get nerve damage in my finger and I can't feel it for like a month, and I don't even know if I want to. Like I'm kind of like I might just like half-ass that event at this point because it seems like I don't know.
Yeah, just pull something to like not fall off too much.
Yeah, get like 70 or 80 pounds or something like that.
Just 70 or 80. That's still a good lift, man.
What's the other? Oh yeah, the crusher. Duh.
Crusher, yeah.
It's this thick bar. So I'm not like the top of the group of guys. Like I'm near the top, but not
yeah.
The so
I think we're both kind of similar in that regard with the crusher. We're kind of like not the top guys, but we're kind of at the bottom of the top guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. We can't hang with the big dogs. We can still hold our own.
Like you can't say that my rolling handle lifts are average, but I'm also not really like cream of the crop.
Exactly.
There's a lot of people outlifting me on it, but I don't suck at it. But man, there's just so many strong people on that kind of lift. So we're talking about future feats, future competitions. Now, like I said, you can take this wherever you want it because it's like I said, it's like your time basically.
Okay.
I'm going off of your future goals.
Oh, okay.
You're talking about getting a house, and you put in parentheses, no more yellow room of pain. So
yeah.
Do you want to kind of like explain that one more?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be buying a house probably sometime in 2025. So I'm gonna be moving all my stuff and we won't be seeing the yellow room of pain anymore. But I because I was just trying to think of like any kind of big transitions coming up, and then that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and anyone who's not familiar with the yellow room of pain, I would say I'm the one that came up with that.
I think you are.
Yeah, I just started saying that to you because it's like, man, if you guys haven't seen where Tim lifts typically, and most of you probably have, but you'll still probably like to hear it described again. But it's a room where there is yellow walls everywhere.
Yeah,
the blinds are completely just trashed.
all messed up.
We'll get into that. A lot of people on YouTube hate Tim's blinds. They don't like that they're messed up. So we'll get to that next. But for just the yellow room, I mean, there's chalk everywhere. It is a grip gym. There's weights, there's bars. I mean, chalk dust all over the place, and it's just yellow walls. So I was just like, that's the yellow room of pain. And like, just started saying like, that's where Tim Butler lifts, is the yellow room of pain. And it just kind of stuck.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, those are like classics. So many of your feet, so many of your lifts are done there that, yeah, if you do move on, and I hope everything goes well with future moving and other stuff and whatever you have in the works, but it will bum me out a little bit when that background changes and you're like lifting the Blob Father, but I don't see that yellow background, or I don't get those blinds. Yeah, it's gonna bum me out, man. But yeah, if it's better for you and that's a move of progress, then yeah, I want that for you. But at the same time, man, too many classics have been done in that yellow room.
There are a lot of good memories in that room, but
so
it'll be nice to have like enough space for my equipment so there won't be like just weights on the floor everywhere. It's an addiction to stuff. So like, I just kept getting equipment, and then I'd have some outside during the warmer months and get more equipment. And then time comes when I have to bring some of the stuff inside. I'm like, oh man, I don't have any space.
Yeah, because you're in New Jersey, so I mean it gets fairly cold.
Yeah,
you're talking winter, it gets cold.
And I don't like the cold either. So
yeah. So I don't want to like harp on the blinds.
By all means, go for it.
But yeah, but for anybody, I don't want to say it doesn't know, but Tim, like I said, he's more interesting than me because of just the style of lifts he's doing, the stuff he's doing. There's a lot more aspects to him, and that's why I think it's better than just watching. Some of my lifting stuff is pretty boring. It's just lifting. Yours has a little more character to it. There's a little more mystery behind it. Like, why is this guy lifting in this room? Why are the blinds messed up? It's like, it just, I don't know, for some reason, when you post stuff online, whether it's positive feedback, like you've been interviewed on a lot of podcasts, a lot of shows recently, and it's positive. But then you also have the flip side of that, where so many times you post something on YouTube and here's 20 comments that are talking shit about your blinds, or they're going to say, oh, Tim Butler has skinny legs and you skip leg day. And I just want to point out that like Tim is one of the best people when it comes to just handling internet trolls. People talking shit that have never lifted weights in the comment section. They don't know what they're talking about. And like there'll be some, if you want, I mean, as entertaining as your lifts are, the comment sections almost get better. I mean, you definitely know how it can get. So if anybody, go watch Tim's videos, scroll through his comment section, just go through old videos, scroll through the comments, because there will be somebody in there like, never skip leg day. And then you'll say something like, yep, every Tuesday, like that's when I train legs or something. It's like you're like killing them with kindness almost. But do you have any?
I try not to hit back usually. Like sometimes depends my mood. Yeah. Sometimes I could be I'd have a little more zest in my replies, but I don't really take myself seriously too much. Like I like to joke around,
but most of the time you're joking with them, and it's like they're kind of trying to break you down or talk shit to you, and they don't even know what you're picking up. They couldn't even comprehend what you're picking up.
Yeah, they don't know what an inch dumbbell is.
Yeah, and they're talking shit about it. And I just think it's really funny how you almost have like a comedy take on it. Like you said, you don't take it too serious. You kind of just screw with them back and just say something, but it's hilarious every time I read them. So I think you almost have like the blueprint down for handling internet people. It's like either don't reply at all, or basically reply like Tim Butler does. That's what that would be my advice. But do you have any advice for people that, I don't know, maybe get roped into that kind of stuff on social media where they just let it affect them too much and take themselves too serious, or they get into these comment battles? Any advice there? Because you handle these people like a master.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough. Like, you know, you never really like when somebody's like going out of their way to say something unnecessary like that. But like, what I try to think of is like, I don't know. I just think of how, I don't want to sound mean, but how dumb society is. Like
It is.
There's a lot of dumb people out there. Like you see a lot of dumb things online, and it's like these are the types of people that are making these comments. So all you can really do is laugh. It's like,
Yeah.
That guy's kind of, I feel kind of bad for him, but like, you know, like, or maybe they're just having such a bad day or such a bad week, such a bad year that they just have to blow off some steam somehow. And if that satisfies them, then whatever. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, I just thought that bringing up where, you know, your training room, the way it looks, and just the attention it draws online. But
they call it the meth house or whatever.
Yeah, like stuff like that. So yeah, anybody that's not aware yet, Tim will get internet trolls saying that, you know, he's skipping leg day, it's a meth house, the blinds are messed up, and stuff like that. And I hinted on it in another podcast I did, but you say that an iguana messed up your blinds.
Yeah. That used to be a bedroom a number of years ago. My bedroom. We had an iguana in there. It had a weird name that my brother named. His name was Cheolmey, Cheolmey. I don't know why. It was like 4 feet long. And
Okay.
one day I guess we fed him and we didn't put the top on tight enough. And like we're in the room talking or something. All of a sudden we just like hear a noise and we look and he's like popping out and goes in the blinds. He's like both of them, and like it just kind of messes them up and
just destroys it.
Yeah, and like I don't know, it wasn't too much long later that like that there wasn't a bedroom anymore, and like it became a weight room. And like there's not really a point in investing money in this if it's just gonna get like chalk dust on it, or like, you know, I'm throwing weights around. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. And I would honestly feel kind of weird having something nice looking in that room. Nice looking things don't belong in that room.
Yeah. No, I think you just put it perfect. Yeah, it's like
it would be more out of place.
Yeah, it's like if the blinds look, and that's why like when you lifted in another room one time and your blinds were perfect, I was just like, Tim, like, what the fuck is wrong with your blinds, man? Like, fix those. But they were like the perfect blinds because it was a different room. And but yeah, so I had to at least bring that up and touch on the yellow room of pain. The story of the blinds, but like how you deal with people talking shit online, just your attitude in general. I think most people would agree if they've lifted with you in person, if they've had conversations with you online, even, you're one of those people we talk about in the grip community that like, I got to think, I don't want to like name drop anybody else and throw someone else under the bus, but there's several people in grip that maybe we could look at and say, oh, I could see why someone doesn't get along with this person, or I could see personality conflicts with so-and-so. But in my head, the way I look at it is like, if you have a problem with Tim Butler, you're the problem. That's how I view it, because like I said, the way you handle those people, the way that you are welcoming to new people in grip, and just your attitude overall. I haven't met anybody that would say anything bad about you or anything like that. And I don't know anybody that could come up with really any negatives in that area. So I think you conduct yourself very well, whether it be online, whether it be in person in competition. I think there's like a level of like kindness and professionalism that, I don't know, you're almost like a model grip person when it comes to the standard for behavior and in certain ways. Yeah, I'm not saying everybody has to be the same or get along and all that, but you conduct yourself professional, and I think a lot of people would give you credit for that and take notice of that. Do you feel that from other people, or have you heard similar stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot, I guess. Like I know it sounds like cliche, but I just try to live by the golden rule. Like, and like, I got treated pretty poorly when I was younger. I got bullied a lot, and like I was like, I never want people to feel like that. And like I was really shy and had no confidence. I still struggle with confidence, but it's getting better. But when I got into the grip community, they were just very welcoming to me, and that's something that really stuck with me. I was like, I want to do this for other people too, and like I just like to. I feel like that people really do feed off of energy, like positive and negative. I just feel like the world needs a lot more positivity because everyone's so like angry about things. I just want to add like a little silliness, a little positivity into things, and like time and place for seriousness, but just trying to make everything a little more fun, like lighthearted.
Okay, so from there, if we kind of covered we're talking like behavior, the way you act and stuff to handle the people online, in competition, grip community being welcome, all that. We talk about future goals in grip. Do you have any other like life goals that you're looking forward to? Like you mentioned kind of moving and other stuff like that. Is there anything that falls into that category that maybe isn't training related, but maybe still is important to you?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. There's a lot of like uncertainties, I guess. Like I have like, I have a solid like career and stuff. I just don't really have like a blueprint for what I want to do in my later years. Like, yeah, it'd be cool to like find a wife someday and have a family, but you can't really force anything like that.
Yeah.
I would like to, it'd be cool to own a gym someday, but it's just I don't know. But now with this whole social media thing, it might be like I might start being able to have like a platform, and then that'll help me be able to do things like that, because it's like you're saying, I've been getting like some interviews, one was pretty big yesterday, and just more like followers on different platforms, and like people like wanting me to like help them with things. So I don't know, there's a lot going on, and like I don't know what the future holds for me, but like I'm excited about what's going to happen, because I know there's uncertainties, which is kind of bad because it's good to have a plan, but I'm also in a really good position, I guess.
Yeah. No, it's all good. I was just kind of checking,
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. And like I said, there's no pressure, no like specific right or wrong answer. It's just anything that comes to mind. But I think that you're definitely at a level, for what you train and for your knowledge, and whether it be on the nutrition end or whether it be in a weightlifting capacity. I think the more time that you just continue to put in and do things like that, and then if you do get some bigger platforms or have more outreach to people, I think it would be totally possible to own a gym or do something along that path that you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, just with the list you pull off, the things you do, the kind of like the expertise you have in certain areas that other people don't, the combination of things you have, because like you said, you're somebody that's kind of been on both ends of the spectrum. I mean, you've been 300 pounds, you've been under 200 pounds, you've been weak to where you felt like you could barely walk. And then you've also pulled ridiculous weights and crazy feats off. So
Yeah.
you've kind of been around and had a lot of life experience that a lot of people, maybe that are in a bad spot, haven't, they need somebody like that they can bounce off of, whether it be a coach, a trainer, something like that. But I think you would fit in that category of somebody that can definitely be welcoming, boost somebody up, and kind of get somebody on the right track. And it could be, hey, we don't have to be over here lifting blobs like I do. I can talk to you about nutrition too. Like you have more than one dimension. You're not a one-dimensional kind of person. So,
and I feel like that's important too, like not only being like multidimensional, but just like a lot of people like just having support from somebody, like some encouragement can like help, because people they try to get into something and they feel like overwhelmed, and just having someone there saying, you got this do this and you'll be good, kind of thing. Like because I don't know, a lot when you try to do things on your own, sometimes it can be discouraging because you just feel kind of lost and you don't really have a sense of direction. And that's kind of redundant, but
no, I totally get what you're saying there. So we covered your future goals and stuff like that. I'm just going to dive in with questions for me. You asked, the question would be asked to me, but we can both kind of do this one. Most impressive grip feats, in my opinion. And then you asked me what my next big feat would be. So real quick, I'll do what my next big feat is, or what I'm thinking about is, I would like to pull a double inch lift. I can lift the inch with both hands. I've had some like disc injuries, back injuries, and some other weird stuff, and just being able to get both hands firing on the same day in sync with my back and everything else in my overall body and deadlifting strength.
Position.
Yeah, from that deficit pull, like folded over basically. So yeah, a double inch lift is on my list, for sure. Other goals than that, man, I'm still chasing Blobzilla, and I still want to make that happen. And I'm in the same boat you were probably a little while ago, where, man, that's not even on my list. I'm not even sure if I can do it. It's like, but I've seen Tim Butler do it. I've seen Luke Raymond do it. Like you said, I'm in that same spot where, like, I'm seeing these guys do it, and I know that I can do it. I know that it's possible. It's just right now blobs feel like shit. Yeah. And it seems so far off at the moment that I don't even want to think about it. But Blobzilla's on my list. I've pinched 45s with both hands and done double 45s lifts. I did the 50-pound standard pancakes.
Oh,
so
yeah.
the 250s pinch. I did 250s
I don't
pinch.
think I could do that one.
With Clint Ziegler was the first one to pull that off, and then Luke Raymond was second, and then I think I was the third. So I think we're the only three that did that one. But I would like to bump up and also join those guys in pinching 255s single hand. So I'm a ways off of that, and that would take some specialization and kind of focusing in on. And right now I'm kind of focused so much on competition. I'm not really training to pinch 255s, but that kind of being the next progression from what. I don't think I can really pinch deep dishes. My hands just don't fit right. I feel like I'm just going to get cut every single time. But maybe a deep dish 45 pinch in the future if I can avoid cuts. But if we're just sticking with kind of regular plates, when you've already pinched 45s, when you've already like lifted like the 250s, it's like the 55s are that next jump. So yeah. I would like to, it's tough, man. Anytime you add to, I mean, really just pinching 245 single hand is still a pretty big deal. I mean, that's a good mark of strength, but anytime you start,
I can't get that every time.
Yeah, I can't either. Yeah, still. But when you start branching, 5 pounds, you start branching out and going above that. Any weight added to a 45s pinch is impressive. Is tough. So Blobzilla, pinch 255s, double inch lift. Like I said, I'm just shooting these off the top of my head. I have a ton of different goals. Now, each individual lift, I might, just get a PR and keep climbing the ladder on all my competition lifts. That's not really like a goal. That's just like expected.
Yeah.
But for the feats, I've done a plate curl with a 35. I would like to eventually be able to do a 45. I'm still not happy with how strict my 35s are. They're strict in the sense that I don't use any body and swing in it. So I'm not swinging the plate up when I do my 35-pound plate curl, but my wrist tends to fold a little more than I want.
Yeah, same here with my plate curl. It's so hard to, I don't know how Adam Glass just like solid, just
yeah, Adam just has like steel wrists or something, because when he like gets under and like holds those 45s, it's like there's like no breaking of the wrist.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it. Like I try and like I'll like get up and just like
yeah, and I'm in that same boat. I want to get my 35-pound plate curls kind of looking like that before, lifelong goal. I'd like to plate curl a 45. Mm-hmm. But right now 35, I mean, I can plate curl it, and like I said, it's still a pretty strict lift is from the curl standpoint, but my wrist gives a little bit more than I want it to. So I just would like to kind of sure that up a little bit, but plate curl of 45. I mean, that's 3 or 4 different feats, right? That's a pretty good list. Does that answer? I mean, from a question from you, does that answer it mostly?
Yeah, I'm satisfied.
Okay. Yeah. I just want to make sure that you're good with my answer. Can't disappoint. And then, what grip feats are most impressive to me? A lot of this just has to do with context.
Yeah.
Because this isn't me like hating on anybody, or like I said, I'm not one to bitch about hand size. I never have. And I don't do it with the blobs I lift or bells or anything else or handled. I don't complain about hand size. I'm not letting that limit me. But when I do see certain people I mean, I've been to competitions where like if I lift like a 2 3/8 handle, I mean, you're going to see a gap. I mean, you're going to see a gap in my hands. Like if you watch videos of me lifting the inch bell, you're going to see a gap on that handle. And then when I've seen like other big giants lift and I see their fingers are like touching on a 2 3/8 rolling handle, or I see their fingers touch around something. And I kind of think to myself, like, that's kind of like me on 2 1/4. That's kind of like me lifting a 2-inch handle. So how impressive is that? So that's why I say there's some context to it, because I don't bitch about hand size, but I still can't like neglect the fact that when we look at somebody's that like they're getting like that much more wrap around a bar, that those leverages and that their advantages, like that it's not an advantage. I mean, it is. It doesn't, I'm not saying it makes it less impressive because they're probably lifting heavier stuff, but at the same time, that's where that context goes. It's like, well, is it more impressive if Brian Shaw lifts the Millennium dumbbell as opposed to, like you said, maybe somebody that's 200 pounds lifting the inch? Which one's more impressive to you? I mean, what do you think? What's more impressive to you? A guy that's like 6'8", 6'9", 440, and he picks up a 230-pound dumbbell, or the person that's 200 and they pick up a 172 and their hands are smaller? It's like,
that's true. Yeah.
I'm not saying that picking up the Millennium, like for Shaw, is not good. It's an amazing feat. It's awesome. But if we were to scale it down, so to speak, on, okay, we take a guy that weighs less than half that. He's 200 pounds. He's lifting a bell that's 50 pounds lighter. If we were to do like math on it, I mean, I'm not trying to make it a math equation, but it's tough for me to answer.
Yeah.
Because I think guys like, guys like Brian Shaw, Mark Henry, those kind of feats that they've pulled off. I mean, some of those grip feats are some of the most impressive ones I've seen. But then when you consider how big or how strong they are, it's like, I don't know that it's as impressive or more impressive than like Adam strict curling a 45 like he does. I mean, I would say they're even, or Adams is just as good. So, I mean, how do you feel about that subject? I mean, I'm just kind of freestyling here as we're.
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel a similar way. Like I guess but there's some feats like, well, I guess the like certain pinch feats where the hand size doesn't really matter like
as much. Yeah.
I personally think like Sam Parker's clean with the 45s or 44s or whatever. But
yeah,
I think he's the only one that's done that. And like, I guess just because I struggle so much with the narrow pinch, like that feat is just so impressive to me because I can't even lift 45s on a lot of days. But
yeah.
But I agree with you, like with the whole hand size thing. It's hard. It's really impossible to kind of have a scale, really. Like,
yeah, it gets real like opinion based, and it depends on where people put their emphasis. Because, I mean, some person might be attracted to a different lift or a different style of lift. So someone might say Carl's axle pull is the most impressive, and it's like, well, yeah. Or then someone else might like freak out about some small person pulling something giant on the hub. So
Tiziano's huge gripper closes. I mean, that's really impressive to me.
Yeah, because he weighs like 140, 140s.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah. And he probably doesn't have a giant hand, and he's closing grippers that, I mean, giants are closing or can't close. So. I mean, you have to throw those kind of feats in the mix.
Yeah.
And if I say ones that just come to mind, if I just start throwing feats out there,
by all means,
I would say all the inch dumbbell cleans are pretty impressive to me.
Ben's especially because
Ben's been killing it with the inch cleans. But like even the big like I think his name was Ryan Green. That's one that flies under the radar.
That old YouTube video where he did a few strict presses or whatever.
He just strict presses it. So it's not even like the push press or like you have like any leg involvement. So like that's impressive. I mean, because you basically just like muscle clean it and then strict press the inch dumbbell.
Yeah.
So that would be one that maybe people don't know about or don't mention. But when Ryan Green, that old video, that's interesting to me. That's up there. Honestly, this is personal opinion. I would say if we're talking all-time feats that have to be up there, it would be hard not to mention Adam Glass and lifting 200-pound inch bells at the same time. And I know his body weights at the time was lower than 220. So, I mean, you're probably talking Adam is low twos. So you're talking about a guy that maybe weighs 205 pounds to 215 pounds, maybe. I'm just giving a general range, but a low 200s body weight, like we talked about, that awkward double deficit, like you're a double inch lift and you're basically pulling at a deficit, you're folded over. To have the back strength and just the grip strength combination to pull 200-pound inch dumbbells, basically like you were talking about, getting like a body weight bell lift, essentially just doubling that. So to me, watching Adam pick up 200-pound bells at the same time is pretty freakish. I mean, that's got to be one of my favorite feats. I'm going off on a tangent, man, because I could talk feats all day. But
you ever hear of this guy, Chris James?
Yeah, no, I've spoke to him on YouTube. Yeah,
have you seen some of the feats that he's put, like that 2.5 inch actual 700-pound like rack pull hold?
Yeah, yeah, no, and because he I think he started commenting on my YouTube stuff at one point, and we kind of just talked there, and then he mentioned that like he had trained with Nathan Hall.
Yeah.
And he said, I know Nathan, and I trained there because he saw me like lifting a hall blob in one of my videos, and we talked about it. But yeah, I've heard that Chris James, I've heard that like his axle pulls are like off the charts.
Yeah, insane.
Like mid fives and just crazy shit that people probably wouldn't even believe. But like, there's some videos of it, and that like I said, the world's so big. I hate to narrow it down and say like, well, this guy's the best at this or that, because
he's definitely up there.
Yeah,
he started posting newer content recently too, which is cool. He's still like super strong.
I haven't seen that, so I need to check into it.
Yeah, his old stuff is on like a channel called Dan James, and now he has his own channel, Chris James. He's been posting. His son did like a double overhand thumbless 550 deadlift, which is pretty insane. So I guess it's in his blood.
For sure. And I'll have to check that out, because I've chatted with him online a few times and some of those videos, but I didn't know he was posting new stuff. So that'll be something to look into. To me, like we talked about, kind of lacking maybe a little bit of wrist strength for some of these things. Anybody that's pulled a double thumbless inch lift, I think that's impressive. I think I don't know Ben's last name from your area.
Oh yeah, I always forget. I think it's some Italian.
Okay, we don't have to mess it up, but
we call him Benny Boy.
Okay, so Benny Boy. So we got Benny Boy, and then Ben Helms from closer to me. So both the Bens we know have done double inch dumbbell lifts thumbless.
Yeah.
There's other people, Jason Dingy, I think like Storm Chelino, Adam Glass. I think that might be like the only 5 or 6 that have done it. There may be a few others.
Ben did he did thumbless with my 190, and then he did like a bit of a thumbless transfer with my 190, which is just stupid. Like,
which is, I mean, when you see stuff like that, that's just I mean, that's about as strong as it gets, really. I mean, what are you going to do after that? I mean,
it's mind blowing.
So I could ramble about feats, but those kind of I don't know, man. Like I said, Adam picking up the 200-pound bells at that lighter body weight, like you said, it kind of gives people the blueprint for like lifting Blobzilla. Oh, well, you saw like Luke did it, so you're like, I can do it, and then you do it, and then when you see it's kind of like representing for the common person.
Yeah.
Because
we're mere mortals.
Yeah. Because I could look at Mark Henry videos, and I can look at Brian Shaw videos, and we can talk about how impressive it is, but I mean, I'm 6'2", like 215 right now. I have like 7 3/4 inch hands. It's hard for me to relate to a dude that's 6'9", 440 with 9.5 or fucking 10-inch hands. Like what? I it's not part of my training. But when I tune in and I see like Adam lifting the shit he was lifting, and that's why it kind of attracted me to the sport, because I'm like, okay, this dude's doing shit that like the giants should be doing, or they can't even do, some of them. And he looks, roughly my same body size. So kind of the same thing you're talking about there. So I think some of those feats are more impressive when you kind of get into I hate to say like the common people, but your regular type people that you can relate to, but they display this extra level of strength that you just don't expect them to have. It almost is like hidden, surprises you when you see
I
it.
always, yeah, that is really cool. Like that's something I first noticed when I got into grip. Like there's this one guy who's not really in the scene anymore, but Dan Fleming. It's like this skinny guy is like 180, I think, like 6'2", 180. So he's like a skinny guy, but he was like, he got like 115 on the one hand flask or something like it's just, I learned like you don't always have to be gigantic to do well, and like you can, if you train hard enough, you're gonna make some gains. Like I'm not saying everyone will train and be the best, but like don't get that mentality where you're gonna limit yourself just by being like, oh, like I'm not big, I'll never be able to do anything like that. Like
one other funny one I'll add. This isn't necessarily like most impressive feats. If we're talking like all-time feats, Jed's done a few really good ones, but one that I kind of liked seeing just because it wasn't like it was kind of like on the spot. And I don't know if you've seen this video or not, but it's the 5'10s where Chaz Strange went up and like lifted with Jed and did a session. And I think they asked him like, hey, like for a 5'10s plate bench, can you transfer 5'10s? And I think that if anybody's seen the video I'm talking about, Jed basically like walks over to these 5'10s, throws them back and forth like 10 times and just catches them, walks out with them like farmers walking them across the room, starts picking up blobs like 3 in a row, throws them back to the other hand, walks like 20 feet to the back of the room, sets them back down like, okay, you guys ready to train? Like
that was really entertaining.
That was like that was one of the coolest videos I've seen feet wise in a long time, just because it's like for one plate not to slip out, or it's just I mean you get it.
His that reminds me of his inch hold with the 3 blobs, including Blobzilla.
Has to be up there too. That's
a really good one too. I didn't think about that one earlier, but that
because Jed, I think he picked up the inch dumbbell, held it, and then he lifted
Batman, and then Blobzilla, then Batman, the next gen, I think.
Basically three big blobs, but in a row while holding the inch, and then
and no bracing it or anything.
Yeah, so very very impressive. But I just thought the one was kind of comical because it's just like
it's so over the top.
Yeah, I mean, he just transferred the shit out of those like 5'10s and was just like pretending he was like looking at his watch like while he was transferring, like going out. So that's a video that needs more credit. I almost need to we need to like push that one out again, because that's a good one. But so there's like I said, I could talk to you for 3 hours about feats, whether it is how easy Lane Snook cleans an inch dumbbell, Adam Glass lifting 200-pound bells. I could say Jed, pinching the deep dish Yorks. We could, you could just go down this list. I mean, never ending basically. And then we could even add in like fun ones like that, where he's transferring the 5'10s, but that would mostly be it. I mean, what do you have anything to add? Like what you think's most impressive, or,
there's so many out there, but
I know we're basically rambling. We're just rambling at this point, naming shit, but like, I don't care. I mean, there might be, something more
that we're not thinking of. I'm sure there's something more.
But something that we name right now might be something that a newer lifter has never even heard of. And they might have just found out about 5 or 6 different feats that they never even knew about, or they might have found out about 5 or 6 old lifters that they didn't even know existed. I didn't know who that guy is, or I didn't know, and so I get it. It's a bit drawn out. We're rambling. We're just naming random shit. There's no real like point to what we're just freestyling it at this point, but it could lead other people to seeing what's possible, opening their minds to different feats, and getting them on the path to kind of seeing what's been done before them, what's achievable, and then they go on to do, or like we all kind of do. You see what everybody's done before you, and then you put your own twist on it, or you add to it, and things evolve that way. So I know we're rolling, and it's like I said, maybe a bit much for some people on these feats, but if you're into grip, you probably get it a little bit.
Yeah, you understand.
Yeah. But yeah, Tim, man, I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to like cut you off or anything. We've been rolling for a decent amount of time, and I think we've covered some good subjects.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of fun stuff.
If there's anything you want to add, for sure, just go ahead and add it in. And
I'm bad at those questions. I always draw blanks when I'm put on the spot.
no, you ain't got to say nothing then. But
I want to say I love your show.
well, dude, I've told people I'm like the last person I would want to do this. Yeah, I could probably name so many other people that I wish were doing it. But once again, when you sit around for a couple of years and it never really happens, or it doesn't seem to go that route, it's like, I'll do it myself then. You know,
who else would have had an actual orangutan hand cast? Like, and then the logo in the background of the actual.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's like a bonus thing. People don't know about that one yet, but no, because that was off camera. But no, we'll get into it. But yeah, we'll get into the logo and other stuff. It's all good. But yeah, you got the VIP information.
Oh man,
but
can't take me anywhere.
But no, man, I've had a good time talking with you, Tim. Like I said, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you're somebody that's been helpful to me in the community. We've shared information, techniques. You've drove bells down for me, and when we competed in North Carolina together here, just all kinds of stuff. So I'm always grateful for that advice or that training stuff, or us, whether we're competing.
We push each other because we're like in the same weight class. We have like similar body types and lifts. So like I feel like we've like been good like motivation for each other. Like we feed off each other to keep pushing and stuff. Yeah,
for sure. You've definitely been getting the better of me on a lot of I think most competitions we've went to head, I think you beat me in.
For now.
Right. And then some of the feats, there's some feats I've probably knocked off that maybe you haven't, but there's a lot of things you've done that I haven't done. So
we have our different strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. So, but no, it is always cool to have somebody kind of your weight, age, doing the same thing and just pushing the feats. So I look forward to whatever you got coming up, and then I'm gonna try to deliver on my end. I told you all the shit I'm gonna try to do, and I gotta actually go train and do it now, right?
Hit blobs more. Start stretching.
Yeah, I'll check back in with you whenever I get to doing all that. But yeah, if anybody wants to contact you, I know most people probably have your info. It can be a little confusing, just so people can follow you easier, or like you're speaking of with these other platforms that are coming out, or you're kind of getting maybe a little more attention lately than normal. What platforms are you on, and where can people kind of reach out to you to see your story, see your lifts, and check in with you?
I guess I would say Instagram is more of like the feats, I guess, and it has kind of more like an archive of my entire journey and both grip and health. Then with Twitter, I'm more new on. I just started at Twitter, but that one I'm also, I guess, more like personable, like people are asking for like advice or tips on things, and I'll, I don't know everything based off of my personal experience. I'll give the best advice that I can. But the handles for both of those are Tema. It's TE, 3 M's and 4 E's.
Okay, so he told you guys how to get there. I'm not going to try to navigate it. But yeah, I already follow your stuff, so I'm good. But yeah, so whatever Tim told you to follow, go check that out. And yeah, we'll just look forward to competing with you. And whether it be on the feet side, whether it's competition, look forward to seeing what you got going on in the future, and hopefully everything works out. And hopefully we can just keep spreading the word of grip and kind of doing things, the best we can. And I'll pretty much just sign off with that. Like I said, we've talked for a long period of time, probably bored some people out. They couldn't hang out this long. Probably lost them on the feats or something, but yeah, Tim, thanks for being super cool. Thanks for doing the interview. Thanks for the training tips and pushing back and forth, that little bit of competition. And like I said, if anybody deserves to have that following kind of build, or their platforms increase, I think you're very deserving of it, for whatever that's worth. But you know, like I think you're the right guy for that kind of stuff to happen, and you're a good ambassador for grip and a good ambassador for somebody that's just trying to improve their life in general. So
I appreciate it. Thank you. And then thank you for having me on, man. It was a lot of fun just nerding out.
Yeah. So I think I'll close off with that statement because, like I said, that's about the best way I can kind of put it. And I don't want to try to follow that up. So I'll go ahead and we'll sign off here and basically see you next time.
All right, man. You have a good night.
All right. You too, man.
All right. Bye.
I'll see you.